Hello, friends. We are back again. We had spoken about how we are a fusion of two civilizations, the modern and Indic. We looked at the longevity, then we compared the two. We looked at the principles of law between the two, and then we also compared the economic principles between the two. And today we will compare the principles of maths and science between the two. Now, all of you are aware that the numeral system was borrowed from India to the West. It was borrowed by the Arabian traders who then took it to North Africa and then from there up into Europe by Fibonacci, and then later on, after almost 500-600 years, the Indian numeral system got adopted there compared to the Roman system. And you will be aware that, or probably you were unaware, that when they copied our systems, they did not take 0 with them at first. So they only copied 1 to 9, and 0 was supposed to be a place value, which means you keep it after 1, it becomes 10, you keep it after 2, it becomes 20, and that way. But 0, which denotes nothingness, for them was a difficult concept. And most of all, what happened was that they took it as 0 representing Satan. So 0 could not be taken. Like infinity would also never be touched, because infinity is God, so it's blasphemy. So they will never talk about infinity, they'll never talk about 0. But they took from 2 to 9, and then they made the number system. And now, this whole concept of numbers and then negative numbers, what do you mean by -2, -3, -4? I mean, something negative like that, they had no meaning for that. And for them, it was very difficult to understand. So what happens is their mathematics, and let me tell you, this thing had been as recent as 300 years ago, by the time they even brought all these kind of mathematics into their systems. And by then, what was happening? We were under colonialism. And we had already suffered an abuse of 600-700 years by that time, due to invading armies having come and taken many parts of the country and stifling the local systems, etc. And then the colonial system. So what did the colonial system do? It completely killed the local science and methodologies. But then what it copied through there became their systems. And having become their systems, it came back to us through their educational system and became ours. So today what we're doing is, they have copied from us, rehashed it and brought it back to us, and that is what we are learning. As a result, if let's say I ask somebody on the street, if you had -8 and then you had to take out 5 from that, I mean, you had -8 and you had +5, what will be the result? The guy on the street will most likely say, no, I don't know. Why? Because he has to compute. He has to say -8 minus +5. So minus and plus would mean minus. So that means from 8, I got to remove 5. So it becomes 3. But then the overall sign is minus. So I'm left with -3. How difficult that is. And yet, in the simplest form, it will be if I told you that you have 8 shot, but then I give you 5. So how many shot will you be left with? 3 shot. Simple, easy. But that's empirical mathematics. But what have they taught you is theoretical mathematics, because of which what? Mathematics becomes very difficult. And the signs of this are there. You can see that even on your computer keyboard, if you look for where is 0, 0 should have come before 1. But if you check on your keyboards, you will find the 0 always is after 9. Why is it so? Well, today if you Google and check why is it so, they'll tell you, because that's the way the typeset has been done, it's got used to. But you know what, hang on. The typeset happened because that's the way you placed it up front, way back 100 years ago, or whenever that you learnt about the 0. And when it became essential that 0 has to be a number, you then finally did place it, but then you placed it after 9 and not before 1. So as a result, what happens is you have 1, 2, 3, and then you have 0. So you have this whole approach to mathematics. What is the outcome of that? The outcome is you must have even watched the film on Ramanujam, the man who knew infinity or something like that. Now, why was he so frustrated? He went to Oxford, he got recognition and fame. But that's only because they were the prevailing systems, those guys, those days. But they could never comprehend his way of approach. Because his way of approach was that if, very simply put, was that if 5 plus 3 is 8, then it's 8. So on 8, if you compile this, that's what happens. And they'll say, oh, no, hang on. How can you prove that 5 plus 3 is 8? He says, well, you can see it. No, 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 that's not the way. You have to prove 5 plus 3 is 8. So they will write 230 pages upon that to show how 2 plus 3 is equal to 5 or 5 plus 3 is equal to 8. And that then slows down progress, excruciating slow, especially to a very fertile and genius mind. These are such breaks that Ramanujam got a very, very frustrated soul. And then even in the movie, they didn't treat it properly, because when they asked him that, where do you get this inspiration from? He said, I learned it all from the goddess. And they said, oh, so he's getting inspiration from the goddess. And yet they didn't understand that for what he tried to say as the goddess is basically a different system. It's an index system that was in his genes. It just triggered in him. And he could deal with mathematics in such a fashion that it left them way behind. I mean, he died young, but even today, some of the scribblings he's done on his notebooks are still being used to calculate issues around the black holes and those kind of things. So that tells you how much humanity could have progressed and how much we have stifled it. Because if you know, it is index systems that gave the numbering system, the numerals. It gave the zero to the world. It gave the decimal system to the world. So if this is the kind of a civilization that we belong to, which had so much of progress in mathematics and science, how come then today we have become so held back? It's because what we have taught has been learned in a wrong way and then has been copied in a wrong way. It has not been acknowledged, and as a result you got poor systems coming back to us. And same is the story with calculus. I mean, you must read Dr. C.K. Raju on that. I mean, he will tell you how they have mishmashed calculus, because of which calculus has become such a difficult subject. And then yet there is evidence that we knew calculus a long time ago, and then because we didn't have this mental block with infinity, we were very clearly able to deal with calculus in an empirical fashion and take it forward, and we could solve problems without having to wait for theoretical proofs and then get held up and then say, fine, now we don't know. And this has been the result of maths and science that we are grappling today. So the modern civilization is actually slowed down. While we're making great strides in advancement, everything, we've actually been slowed down by the methods and approaches to mathematics and science compared to what was in the Indic civilization. Once again, a good comparison. Next time round, we will compare something else, and then we'll just see how these two civilizations stand. And thank you once again for listening to me. Till next time, thanks and bye.